People will know us and that we are disciples of Jesus by how we love people. I would fix and change the way in which we love people who don't look like us and don't believe like us or behave like us. How do we love better in spaces around people who don't necessarily believe? That's what we're known for. And I think a lot of people will turn to Christ when they feel a genuine love for us. Let's learn to love people better.
It's time for our spiritual detox. Yes, sir. Welcome back. DJ Focus. You tap back into the Fixx, your number one source of faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry. Y'all know the vibes. It's time for our spiritual detox. We got a special one for y'all today. Listen, I found this young lady. I don't usually be on social media, but I found her on social media. I seen a little clip from her interview, and I just thought she had an amazing testimony that I wanted you guys to hear today. Listen, she does a little bit of everything. She's been a reality TV star and a winner of the Big Brother house, season 26, I want to say.
That's right.
And she does a lot more that she's about to tell you about right now. The one and only Chelsie Baham. How you doing, sis?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
It's so good to be here.
Listen, I appreciate you coming through.
Of course. I have to come. ATL is like my second home, so I have to come through.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
But so hold on. We was talking beforehand. Do you have mixed emotions about Atlanta? Like,
I do.
Because you from Cali.
Yeah, so Cali has the most perfect weather, and then you come to Atlanta, you walk outside, and you can't breathe. I have a problem with that.
Really?
Why is it so hot and so humid? This is not okay.
So walk me through this, because why do you guys have these fires out there? Is that
right,
not from
listen, that is in Cali too.
Okay.
But that happens every once in a blue moon. For the most part, California is perfect.
Okay.
Other than the prices.
Well, you should be used to it by now.
Oh, I'm used to it. Born and raised, baby.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
What's that like growing up in California?
Both beautiful and chaotic.
Okay.
Like I have all my family and friends are out there, so I have community out there, but it's expensive. And being a single woman living in California is difficult. So there's pros and cons to living in California, but I love it.
Was it always constant pressure to be like a celebrity or be like somebody famous because you are in Hollywood?
Yeah, so I grew up in Inglewood.
Okay.
My dad's a LA City firefighter, and my uncles, all of my cousins, my brother. So when we lived in Inglewood, I was heavily involved in acting. And my dad, he wanted to move us out of the hood to move into a safer environment, but he put it on me. He was like, if you want to dive into this acting world, we'll stay in Inglewood. But if not, we're going to uproot and we're going to move about 45 minutes away. And I told him, like, I don't want to do acting. Like, I don't want to be involved in this. And this was young. I was probably like 7 or 8. So then we moved to the Inland Empire. And so when we moved, I didn't have that pressure anymore, like to be involved in the ins and outs of Hollywood. I dove into sports, ministry. So my world shifted when my dad moved us out of LA.
So walk us through a little bit of the faith journey. When did you start seeking God? Like, where you was dragged to church and had to go, or just walk us through your journey?
Most black families, it's like you have no choice on Sundays.
Facts.
Get dressed and go to church. Mm-hmm. And when we went to this church where I lived in the Inland Empire, my oldest brother was too afraid to go to youth ministry by himself. So my parents were like, just go with your brother. So I was the youngest in the room going to youth ministry. And I remember I was probably 9 years old, and I heard the pastor just exegete scripture, and I became obsessed with the scriptures at a very young age. I started leading at a young age, got saved at a young age. So from 9 into current, I've been involved in full-time ministry, and I have loved it. It's just the scriptures captivated me. My leaders saw something in me to where they put me in leadership roles at a young age, and it never stopped.
How did that affect your personal life with your peers? Because let's be very clear, it's not cool to be the church kid. I mean, you said that so beautifully. Like, that wasn't your experience in high school. Like, did people receive you well? Like, talk about that.
Like, I was that kid that could be in any circle. Like, I could be with the cool kids, I could be with the nerds, but I never really had a home. Okay. I was always that odd person out, because people, when they looked at Chelsie, they knew that I was about my faith. And in California, that's not like, we don't have a Bible Belt. So you are an anomaly. So no, I've always, still to this day, being out in California, there is this sense of loneliness that you feel when you take this road. It really feels narrow, and you look around, you're like, who is here with me? Mm-hmm. So it was difficult. It was not easy at all. I had to switch schools because of some of the backlash I got just for professing my faith. And I was never that Christian that was like shoving the Bible down people's throat. I wasn't that type of person. Mm-hmm. But the people that just disdained God and all the things of God had an issue with me. So it wasn't easy growing up, but thank God for my church. Like, I always had community to fall back on, but no, it's been difficult.
When you say since 9, you've kind of been in full-time ministry, just break that down a little bit. So like, were you like were you preaching to like the youth? Like,
I was like prophesying to the youth. I was leading
at 9.
At probably like 11, 12 was the first time the Lord gave me a prophetic word. And I showed up to church and my pastor's like, hey, I just feel like the Lord's put something on your heart. Can you share it tonight during church, Wednesday night service? And I'm like, and I had a word. I felt like God spoke to me. So my pastors were putting me like overseeing people who were older than me. And that's been the pattern of my life. Wow. I'm the youngest in the rooms, but I'm leading in these rooms. Mm-hmm. So it's been like that at a very young age. There's pros to that. It matured me in a lot of ways, but then it stripped a lot of that, me being able to be a child and figure things out. So I had to grow up very, very fast and very publicly. Mm-hmm. So again, pros and cons to it. But yeah, any room I was put in, my pastors are like, go ahead and lead it. And it's been like that until current.
Did your parents have any leadership roles at the church?
No. So my parents were Catholic growing up. And then when we moved to Rancho Cucamonga, my mom.
That's a real place? Yeah. Shouts out to next Friday.
Yeah.
Day! I didn't think that was a real place.
That's where I live.
Really?
Yes.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Time out. What was that like when they shot the movie out there?
Listen, I was too young.
You were too young?
I was too young.
Okay, all right.
But I knew, like, as I got older, people only knew about Rancho Cucamonga because of Next Friday.
I didn't think it was a real place until you just said it.
That's why I say I live in LA because nobody knows Rancho.
We do if you say Next Friday. Day!
I'm from Rancho. Yes.
Wow,
I live in Rancho
crazy.
Cucamonga currently. I put Rancho on the map when I went on Big Brother. I was like, something in me said rep Rancho, and I did. People didn't think it was a real thing. But yeah, I was in Rancho. And so my dad, when we moved out there, they decided to move away from Catholicism, and he was the first person in his family to convert to Christianity.
Wow.
So there was some tension in our family because he was the only one that decided to step away from his Catholic roots. So he was going to church. They would serve every now and then, but it got to the point like they were telling me get dressed and go to church on Sunday, and then I'm telling them, hey, can you take me to church on Wednesday nights too? So I started to be the one that kind of was pulling them and getting them involved because the Lord just did a work in me at a young age.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I assume it makes sense now. You were attending private school when the issues were happening?
No, it was public.
It was still public?
It was public.
Okay, because you said your dad was a Catholic, so I'm thinking maybe he was going to private school. You was having issues because, of course, it doesn't line up. Let's be very clear. So, okay. Mm-hmm. So what was that like? That's crazy. So you start doing ministry, 11, God starts to reveal and prophesizing to you. How are those conversations with your girlfriends or your little clique that you kicked it with? Because, like, let's be very clear. Probably about that time, probably Nicki and Cardi B was popping. And I'm just being honest. So, like, if somebody's listening to that, but maybe you're not consuming it or maybe you are, like, talk us through your soundtrack and how that affected you and your circle, specifically ladies.
That's a great question. So I played basketball growing up.
You ain't getting no buckets.
Listen, I played in college.
Did you really?
I did.
Okay.
I know I'm 5'3", but I can hoop.
Point guard
and shooting guard. Yeah. Okay. So I had a fixed group of friends because all you hang around are your teammates.
That's real.
So that was my primary circle were the girls that I played basketball with, and it affected me. There's something in me, very young age, that said, don't be so Christian that people don't want to have a conversation with you. Because I think sometimes we get caught up in hyper Christianity that we put a wall in between us and those who don't believe like we believe. So I told myself, I'm going to keep my morals, I'm going to keep my values, but I'm also going to insert myself in spaces where the gospel is not. So it affected me because my friends, at a young age, they're like, Chelsie ain't going to do this, Chelsie ain't going to do that. So again, it put me in categories where I felt very lonely. And a lot of my friends did not follow Christ, but 10, 15 years later, I'm seeing these friends. Now, one of my best friends did not want anything to do with the Bible. I spent majority of my time with her growing up, brought her to church a couple times, and now she's a pastor. So it affected me at a young age because they, I was in the group, but I wasn't. And again, when you decide to follow Christ in middle school, in high school, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb. But my teammates had to deal with me, thank God. And years later, I'm seeing a lot of them come to Christ. So yeah, again, pros and cons growing up when I said I decided to follow Christ.
Was that a struggle for you to accept that call that young and really walk in obedience with that, with the culture and everything around you?
Yeah, it was very hard. But the thing that helped me was I had a youth mentor who led in our youth service every Wednesday. And I call her my sister to this day. It's been 15 years. Her kids are my nephews. I saw her boldly walk out this walk of faith. And I looked at her and I said, if she can do it, I can. So what helped me was I had an example in front of me of a woman that I admired, a marriage that I saw that I admired. And I said, if she's living out these Christian values and her life looks this way, I want to live out those values too. So was it difficult? Yes, but I had so many great examples in front of me where I said, I'd rather follow a life that leads to this than the latter. So I was grateful for the examples that I had in youth ministry.
What I do want to ask before we get to the reality TV, was it hard for men or young boys to approach you because you were so strong in your faith? Because I grew up in the Baptist church, and believe me, as much as I should have loved the Lord, I did not have a real relationship with God. So I would just assume it had to be kind of intimidating, like you almost like preaching. It's like, what was that like just going through high school, college, when you talk about that?
So I think it was intimidating because I was just, hadn't grown up yet, so I was ugly, I guess. But I didn't have a lot of dudes approaching me in middle school or high school. It wasn't until I got to college that I was like, the attention started to come my way. I'm like, oh, this is the attention that girl, because I was a ball player. I'm dressed in like, I play basketball. So I wasn't out there like that. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until college I was introduced to the sea of men. But still to this day, I've been out of college almost 10 years. Still to this day, I think men are intimidated, which is why I'm still chronically single. But my dad was like, listen, he called me the other day. He was like, randomly, he said, hey, are you doing anything? I'm like, no. He said, I just think it's going to take you a little bit longer to find your husband. I was like, is this supposed to be an encouraging call, Dad? What is this? He said, I just listened to an interview that you did, and I think you'd be intimidating for a lot of men. The right man will be out there, but I think it's just going to take you a little bit longer to find him. And I'd have to agree with that. So I didn't get involved in too much trouble with guys, but I do think it was like I'm preaching at a young age. I worked in full-time ministry. I was playing ball. I was traveling at 17, 18. Like I had my life. I was just going. And I think a lot of dudes at that age, commitment or seeing a woman already know what she wants to do in life is naturally intimidating. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it sucked, but I think it's the Lord's protection at the end of the day, because I'd rather wait for the right one than settle for the wrong one just because I'm lonely every now and then.
That's good. So what scripture do you go to when you feel a little lonely? so you get on them sites, you know what I'm saying, get on none of them chats and say, you know what, I'm gonna leave the door. I'm just because you got to speak to the singles out there.
The doors are closed.
They always locked?
They're locked.
Okay.
They've been locked.
Okay.
Locked
but do you think the church has done a good enough job, especially you being in ministry so early, just talking about sex, talking about marriage, talking about how we should court? What's your thoughts and opinions on that?
No, I don't think the church did a great job. So I have decided to save myself for marriage and still have held that true at 28 years old, turning 29. But I think growing up, I grew up in the purity culture. So you're talking about like purity ceremonies, ring ceremonies, where you're just like, I'm going to vow to never have sex. Sex is bad, blah, blah, blah. So it almost becomes this taboo thing. Like we don't want, either you get so afraid of it or you dive on the other side and that's all you do. So it's just, I don't think the church has done well with making the conversation of sex or relationships, dating and courting normal. Like normalize that. Kids at a young age, they're watching. They're exposed to it.
Facts.
They're exposed
the
to
videos alone get you to go look to the other sites.
Yes. So why not have the church be a place where you can have safe conversations? That's where I would want my kids to have conversations. If we're going to talk about that, talk about it in the confines of a church. I was a youth pastor before I went on Big Brother, and I had a lot of conversations with parents who were upset kind of with how candid we were being about dating and courting and sex. And I'm like, these kids are having conversations. So either they're going to have them at the lunch table or at your dinner table. And you're not having them at your dinner table. So we're trying to do our job as a church when we get them for 30 minutes a week to have conversations with them. So for me, it became like it was this thing where, yeah, the church almost scared me away from dating and all of those things as if it was a sin. So thank God I had mentors in my life who were able to have conversations with me, normal conversations with me consistently about it, to where, because kids, if your parents are going to constantly tell you don't do something, don't do it, they're going to rebel and they're going to do it. Facts. So my parents and my church had a healthy balance of instilling me morals and values, but also saying you have free will and you have to develop your own relationship with God to where he convicts you. So they allowed that space for me to wrestle with God at a young age, and that helped me. But yeah, the church has done a terrible job. I feel like we're getting better.
Terrible job.
I feel like at my age, years ago, but I feel like today the church has done a much better job at having these conversations, because they realize you're either going to have them, these kids are going to have them at school, or they're going to have them in the church. What do you prefer? So I think the church has done a much better job at the conversation. Mm-hmm.
When you're having those conversations, thanks for sharing too as well, being a youth pastor.
Yeah.
How do you have those conversations to tell the young ladies to not do the provocative or the twerk videos on TikTok and on Instagram? Like, because everything they see is popular. It's the thing to do. Of course, we live in a vanity culture where everybody want to take a picture or do a video because they're obsessed with themselves. How do you minister to them when, again, they hear what you're saying, but millions are saying this?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's a difficult tension because youth, the next generation, there is this selfie me mentality where they crave the dopamine fix of what social media gives them. I tried and I try not to sit with my girls that I mentor and say, why are you doing that? What? And reprimand them. I try to get to the root with them of what is it that you're seeking? Like, what do you want out of this? I try to learn as much about their family history. I try to learn as much about their childhood, because a lot of these young people who are searching and seeking for attention in those ways, that's just a symptom. There's a root. There's something that happened, or there's something that they're lacking, that they're going to social media, or they're showing their bodies, or they're having sex in order to fill that void. So I'm trying to find what is that hole in your life. That's good. And I minister to that. I try to show them and introduce them to a God that, not of rules first, but a God that loves them, because when they realize there's this man who loves me for me, they're going to want to be obedient. So I try to go for the root, because naturally when you teach the next generation who they are, whose they are, and their value, that naturally is going to fix a lot of the other problems that you see with them. So that's what I try to do. That's
good. So let's go to this reality TV call. Like,
good God.
How in the world? Because you anointed, appointed, all the things. I mean, you got all this ministry in you. Yeah. You walking in purpose, doing what God called you to do. What made you want to go and be a part of reality TV? How did this Big Brother call? Because when I think reality TV, I think messy. I think really messy, really quick. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, I get that we're supposed to be the light in all the spaces, but this is going to get messy really quick. So what was your thought process? Was there some, catch me up, because I don't know if it was an audition, if this was a call. Walk us through the Big Brother house.
Okay, so full-time ministry for 10 years. December 2023, I was going through it, like in ministry, in relationships, in life. And I remember sitting with the Lord, and I'm like, this can't be what you have for me. And I felt like there was just something that I wasn't walking in fullness. And I'm like, Lord, this can't be it. And I felt like the Lord said, give June. All he said was June. And I'm like, and which is usually how the Lord speaks to me. He'll give me a little tidbit to where I have to keep seeking him. So I heard June, and I didn't know if June was going to be like I'm switching roles at my church or I'm transitioning out of my church. I felt like a transition was coming. I just didn't know what that looked like. And I remember being at my pastor's, his kid's birthday party, and I was talking to his sister, and she was on Survivor. And I asked her how was Survivor and all the things. And she's like, you should do it. I said, I am not pooping in the ocean or sleeping on bamboo. I'm not doing that. She said, well, what would you do? I said, the only show I watch is Big Brother. So I would do Big Brother, but that's it. January comes. All she does is send me a screenshot of the casting call from Instagram stories. And that's it. She didn't say apply or anything like that. So I opened up my laptop in my room. This is January 2024. I opened up my laptop and I start talking for 4 minutes. And I send in my casting video. I'm like, what's up, y'all? My name is Chelsie. I'm from Rancho Cucamonga, California. I'm 5'3". I'm a ball player. I'm chronically single. Like, I'm just talking about myself for 4 minutes, right? I was like, I'm half hood, half holy. The Lord's still working on me. So I close my laptop. I submit it, and I literally verbally in my room say, Lord, if it's meant to be, it'll be. If not, whatever. I know you're going to show me what's next. And I went on about my day because in my head, I'm like, they're going to go through hundreds of thousands of casting videos, which they do yearly. I'm like, the odds of them seeing me is insane. So I just went on about my life. I have this mentality always. The worst that could happen is I get a no. So I didn't really have any fear going into it or expectations. So a month later, February 2024, I'm in the office working, and I have my Apple Watch, and it rings, and it's this text message, and it says, hey, Chelsie, I'm so-and-so from CBS. I just saw your casting video. Can you talk? And I looked at it, and I was like, oh, that's spam. Like, they spelled my name wrong. Like, this ain't it. 30 minutes later, I'm typing at my desk, and I'm like, well, what if it's not like spam? This could actually be CBS. So I call the number, and it was legit. So I go through 6 months of a casting process. It was long. It was rigorous. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And throughout the way, I was having conversations with my pastors and I couldn't tell them what show was going on because we're under heavy NDAs. They're like, if this news gets out, it could jeopardize your chance of going on the show. So I would have conversations with my pastors, and I'm like, okay, this opportunity is coming up. I could be gone for 2 weeks, 3 months. I don't even know if I'm going to get cast. I don't know, but I'm in the process. And about 2 weeks before it was solidified of me leaving, my pastor wanted to switch my role. But he's like, hey, it's either full-time ministry or it's you go and do this Big Brother thing. But we can't do both because we can't afford you being gone for 3 months. And I was lining up like when would be my last day of work if I were to just take this leap of faith. Because then I'm leaving my job. I'm leaving security. I'm leaving something that I love, something that's comfortable, which is ministry. I've known that for 10 years. To go on a show that I could not win. Like I could be kicked out in 2 weeks, and then what do I have left? So I sat, I prayed, I fasted for weeks. And when I talked to my pastor and I was lining up the dates that I would be gone, my last day of work was June 30th. And I was talking to my mentor, and she's like, did the Lord give you a month? Like that you felt the transition was going to come? I was like, June. So I just felt in my spirit, the Lord say, just trust me and take this leap of faith. So I got picked up July 4th from my house and got sequestered. You're put in a hotel room for 12 days. They put black tape on the peephole. You do not leave that room for 12 days. And then you're brought in the Big Brother house. And I got out October 17th and won the show. Insane. Never would have thought. So I had no like itch to want to be on TV or to become an influencer, to become a reality star. I just love the game. I've watched Big Brother since I was 10. I'm competitive. So I just wanted to play the games on TV. I was not thinking that I was going to go on, let alone win the show. But I really feel like God ordained it to be this way. And when he said, trust me, I'm glad he did.
Do you think the culture views Christians or faith different now because you won?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's two sides. There's the church side that has viewed me a certain way, and then there's culture, secular side that has viewed me a certain way. I can't lie and say I didn't have tension coming out the house because Big Brother is a game that's built on literally lying. like lying and deceit. It's like mafia, monopoly. You withhold information. You're sneaky. It's like it's a 90-day mafia game. So you don't go in there trying to be like the holiest. That's just not the objective of the game. But the hard part is you're living with. You can't leave this house. So you're doing a lot of living and playing the game, and sometimes those lines can be blurred. So I was a very dominant player. I was very competitive. Still kept my morality, didn't do anything insane, but I played a very sneaky, cunning game. Like I broke a lot of records. I was a very, very smart player, and the church had some issues with it.
What they say?
Church was like, why would she go on the show? She, she lied, she this, she that, and I'm like, that's what I signed up for, a game that involves lying. I thought that the culture would have a better way to compartmentalize and separate Chelsie from the player and Chelsie from the person. And a lot of people didn't, but a lot of people did. And you have a lot of the casual viewers who said they respected that I proclaimed my faith very publicly on the show. I proclaimed it in my final speech, gave honor and glory to Jesus Christ. I had a lot of conversations about the faith with my other house guests, some who were agnostic, some who were atheists, some who were believers. So people saw Big Brother, there's live feeds 24/7. So you can log in at any point and see what we're doing and hear what we're saying. And so a lot of people would hear me, talking about my faith to somebody in the house or have my Bible open. So a lot of people were honored me for being unapologetic to say, this is my faith. Even in this environment, I can still hold true to my morals and my values. But there's always going to be the percentage of people that hate just because they want to hate. But the mass majority appreciated that I didn't deviate from my faith simply because I had opportunity to win a lot of money.
So what's next? I mean, do you see yourself constantly going on reality TV, or maybe starting your own reality TV show? Like, what's next?
So I did another show.
So you did another show?
Yes, I did The Amazing Race. It airs in 2 weeks.
Okay.
End of September.
Okay.
And 4 days after I got out the Big Brother house, I got a phone call. Hey, like, are you alone? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, well, we want you on Amazing Race with your dad. And I went straight into another casting process. So finished The Amazing Race, did another show. Again, was not planning this. I just the Lord just keeps opening up these doors. I have one more show that I would love to do. That's like a bucket list. One, maybe two that I'd love to do. But I want to get back into podcasting. I was a public speaker beforehand. So now what's next is really seeking the Lord, asking, what does ministry look like now? Because I do feel like he has moved me on from the vocational, working in the four walls of a church. And now moving me to, hey, ministry is wherever you take me. And I'm going to take you places where a lot of believers aren't, to proclaim my name. So I'm asking the Lord, what do those spaces look like for me? So it could be podcasting. It could be another show. Who knows? It's one of those, my hands are open, Lord. Like, tell me where to go. And last time I was in that position was right before Big Brother, and he didn't lead me astray. So the only thing I have is to trust him, because every time I do, it turns out pretty well.
Do you think there needs to be a training on how to do what you're doing? And the reason I ask that, because to your point, we do need to be in spaces everywhere, and it takes a certain type of person, individual, certain calling to go in these spaces to be able to go on reality TV. Or again, I'm in the music industry, so sometimes I might go to a after club or something like that and be in that environment. Do you think the church needs to start preparing and equipping saints specifically just to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's a tension that I'm trying to navigate on my own right now, which I'm sure you've had to navigate when you're in those spaces of how far is too far? Should I be in these spaces? How do I show up in these spaces? So I do think the church has to do a better job at equipping the saints on how to be sent, how to go out, and how to be in these spaces, and still not, because I'm a young millennial, and people say I'm Gen Z, but I still like to rock with millennials. And the hard part, if your faith is not solid, you can find yourself in these spaces and wanting to be liked and kind of watering down your morality a little bit, watering down your faith. And so I do think there even needs to be whoever, if you feel called to ministry outside the four walls and specifically in spaces where God's not, have people in your corner in your life who are going to tell you like it is, who hold you accountable, because it's easy to get in these spaces and say, oh, nobody's going to, they won't care. Nobody's going to see this. The church is not here. But I do think the church has to do, and there should be a space, because majority of the world is not working in vocational ministry. We're out in the record labels, on TV, at the hospitals, at the schools. So how do you equip people to take what they hear on a Sunday and share it Monday through Saturday? But in these spaces, TV, music, a lot where Christ is not, I do think there needs to be a spiritual equipping for us, because a lot of people go in these spaces and then they lose their way. And that's been my biggest prayer. Lord, no matter what space you send me in, Grammys, BET, CBS, NBC, Peacock, I don't want to lose sight of who you are. And one of my pastors, he said, always find your North Star, the thing that always grounds you and centers you. So
that's good.
Yeah, if the church can always point people back to their North Star, or give them tools on how to find their North Star, I think you see a lot of Christians being bold in these spaces where Christ is not.
That's good. Listen, I'm gonna get you out of here. I gotta ask you the hip hop question, because you brought up music. Are you familiar with any Christian hip hop, gospel rap at all? Are you tapped in? Or are you not tapped in?
I'm tapped in. I'm tapped into a certain degree.
Okay.
Because can I be honest?
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation at dinner last night. I can do Christian music. Okay. I can do rap music. It's hard when they combine.
Why?
Because very few people, I might get in so much trouble for this. Yeah. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm a music head. I love music. And there's a lot of Christian music that's a little cheesy. Okay. So to find a dope artist that's dope lyrically and melodically is very hard. But yeah, there's a few artists that I am like hardcore about. I was just at an album listening party last night for Jackie Hill Perry.
Fire.
Girl is fresh.
Yes.
Like fresh. So there's a few artists that I love. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna help with that. I'm gonna have to give you a track list.
You gotta give me a list.
I'm gonna give you a playlist.
You gotta give me a list.
Stay tapped in, because it's a lot more. But shouts out to Jackie. Jackie is one of the best ladies to do it in our space.
100%.
But we have a lot of other ladies. Child Like Cece, I think you would like.
Yeah.
And actually, Toya.
Was Child Like Cece on your your show?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I listened to some of her music last night. Fire. Yeah,
she can go. Listen, I'm gonna get you out of here. I appreciate you always.
Yeah.
You know you're welcome anytime. The name of the show is called The Fixx. If you could fix or change anything about church culture, what would you fix? What would you change?
Oh, if I can fix anything about church and culture, I would say people will know us and that we are disciples of Jesus by how we love people. So I would fix and change the way in which we love people who don't look like us and don't believe like us or behave like us. How do we love better in spaces around people who don't necessarily believe? That's what we're known for. And I think a lot of people will turn to Christ when they feel a genuine love for us. So I changed that. Let's learn to love people better.
That's good.
Yeah.
Listen, appreciate you. Tell the people how to connect with you and follow you all your social media platforms.
Yes. So I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. At Chelsie Behem. I will be on The Amazing Race starting this year, end of September. Catch me and my dad. It's a hot mess express. I'm just going to lead with that. So pray for me on this race, okay? But find me online, connect with me, and I'd love to chat with y'all.
That had to be exciting, though, to do a show with your dad.
Oh, my gosh. It was so exciting. Even though I almost left him leg one because he was so bad at the race. But it's going to be the most entertaining thing. But to travel the world with my dad and compete in the most silly games was iconic. I'm just going to be a little spoiler. We got to herd sheep in Hungary. So you get to see a lot of craziness. I'm like, who does that? So it's very exciting. I'm excited for the world to see.
That's solid. Listen, DJ Focus, I got to go to a break. We'll be right back with more. You're tapped into The Fixx.